welcome to the newest episode of the Noobs and Knockouts podcast. I'm Austin. I'm a knockout. I've watched a lot of wrestling.
I'm David. I'm a noob. I haven't watched a whole lot of wrestling, but I am a stone cold determined to change that fact.
I don't know if that worked as well as you wanted to, but it did. We did get in the cheap reference.
You know what? I thought it worked pretty well. Stone cold something, is look. I do my best. Okay.
Yeah, very true. And yes, today is the start of our newest episode where we return to the Attitude Era. This is our fourth time here. I'm almost done with this. I'm almost done with this era of wrestling for a hot sec.
That's so wild, dude. Like it feels like it honestly it feels like we've been in the Attitude Era a lot longer. It's just like one of those things so all encompassing.
I'll stick my retrospective stuff for the next time because that'll be the last time. But yeah. And to be fair, like the Attitude Era and this period of wrestling has done a lot to influence WWE after.
Mm-hmm.
Like this was a super influential era of time. So like even when we're not officially talking about it, it has a lot of like relevance.
The ripple effect is massive.
Mm-hmm. And this is like, again, I keep talking about like times where the Attitude Era starts. And by some people's definition, it kind of starts right here because this is the first episode of Monday Night Raw where Stone Cold Steve Austin is WWE champion.
Woo!
We've skipping ahead a couple of months to March 30th, 1998, and we have a lot of ground. We have a decent amount of ground to cover. Thankfully, all the important stuff had matches at WrestleMania 14, this is the episode right after WrestleMania. So I could just go off of that match card to help me organize where everything is going, where everything went.
Alrighty.
Let's go ahead and start with the big one. Is Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels. That has been, the last time Steve Austin just won the Royal Rumble. He was going to face Shawn Michaels, and now we are here. What happened in the storyline? And it kind of took a few different twists and turns. I really appreciated that, but it starts off with the week after Stone Cold fights Mike Tyson. I'll run through all the names of the Attitude Era here, but yes, after he gets in the fight with Mike Tyson, there's a lot of speculation of like Austin and Tyson, are they going to fight at WrestleMania? And Shawn Michaels being the kind-hearted soul that he is like, I am totally willing to give up my WWE Championship match with Stone Cold so that Stone Cold can fight Mike Tyson. He's willing to make that large sacrifice. Wink, wink.
Such a valiant soul, truly.
Mm-hmm. After that obviously doesn't work because Stone Cold is like, no, I can fight Mike Tyson whenever I want. At WrestleMania, I want you.
Good.
After that fails, the next Shawn Michaels attempt, get Mike Tyson on your side. So we get the next time Mike Tyson appears on Monday Night Raw, we get this big shocking reveal that Mike Tyson is with DX.
Really?
He's gonna be on DX's side.
Of all the orgs to pair with, of all the groups, he chose DX.
And so now it's kind of like, oh shit, how's Mike Tyson gonna get involved in the match at WrestleMania? And from there, we skip ahead. From there, there's not really any other major different pointing beats I need to hit but at WrestleMania, the match happens and Mike Tyson's there as the special enforcer which basically means he's the backup referee. And so shenanigans happen and the referee's out. Stone Cold has got Shawn Michaels pinned and Mike Tyson comes in, counts it 1, 2, 3. No problem. Stone Cold wins. Because you see, him being with DX was merely a ruse. He's been on Steve Austin's side the whole time.
What? Oh god, this reads like something. I can't remember what, but there's some show or something where there's like a series of like hilariously intricate double crosses.
Yeah.
Oh god, is it the Rick and Morty heist episode? That might be what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it's a bit of like up to you when you think how long you think this con has been. I personally take the opinion of it happens sometime in between Stone Cold showing up to fight Tyson, and like he doesn't show up to be with DX until like a month after he gets in his fight with Steve Austin. So I believe that it happened there.
What? But I have so many questions. What? Why?
I mean, there are some logical points here that like it makes sense in that like at the Royal Rumble, Mike Tyson is up there like cheering Steve Austin the whole Royal Rumble match.
Yeah, Cold Stone, the best
Cold Stone. And then of course you could think about it like Steve Austin is totally willing to kick the ass of any single person that shows up at any time, and yet Mike Tyson is at Raw and Steve Austin never shows up. Isn't that a little weird? One of those things that like retroactively makes this seem like this long con plan.
So did they retcon the like attack at the last episode we watched to be
they don't because Mike Tyson doesn't come back, they don't really spend a lot of time on it. But so it's kind of up to you. Like, do you want to believe that they had a real fight, or do you want to believe this was a real long one?
This whole Mike Tyson thing then reads like a giant like half unexplained plot cul-de-sac.
Somewhat, I suppose.
Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter that much because you get the visual of Shawn Michaels being like, "What the fuck, man? I thought you were on your side." And so Mike Tyson punches out Shawn Michaels, and then he celebrates with Steve Austin as Steve Austin gets the WWF Championship. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter that much. But I suppose
I will say Tyson yeeting Shawn Michaels sounds like a really, really satisfying image.
It is. And truthfully, like, as much as Shawn Michaels is famous for not being willing to play ball,
yeah, seriously,
he pretty famously last year at WrestleMania, he was supposed to let Bret Hart beat him for the WWF Championship, and then suddenly Shawn Michaels threw a hissy fit about it, and on air he said he lost his smile and had to voluntarily give up the title, all as part of this elaborate excuse to not have to lose to Bret Hart. Like, now, Shawn Michaels did that shit. Like, he would rarely, if ever, be willing to actually lose to anybody.
Well, because that was part of the whole Boston Screwjob or whatever.
Yes, Montreal.
Montreal Screwjob of him like reneging on like, I don't respect you and I would never like do this for you if the tables were turned or whatever. Like, he's notoriously like a giant dick about stuff like this.
Mm-hmm. And so there were some legitimate fears of like, what if he did it again? I know he's got like 3 broken discs in his back and he needs to go away to heal that. But what if he decided to be an ass?
Yeah.
One more time. And
stubbornness.
Yeah, and that's led to this very famous story of The Undertaker, who's kind of like a backstage, like a locker room leader type, implicitly threatening Shawn Michaels that like, if you fuck around tonight, I am going to kick your ass for real.
Jesus.
According to Shawn Michaels, it wasn't that direct. It was more of like, Shawn Michaels admits to letting people think he might not do it, but even if according to him, he never planned to screw around on it, but he let people think he might. And according to him, The Undertaker never like came up to him about it and was like and threatened him directly, but it was more like Undertaker passed the story around to the locker room, so everybody knew. And that would have been very enjoyable if Undertaker had to do that to Shawn, but thankfully Shawn did what he had to do. He made he was willing to take the loss. He made Stone Cold look like $1 million. It was a super huge success all around.
Whew. All right. Nice one, Shawn. Yeah. Good job not being a dick this time.
Yeah, and relevant too is that not only did they set up, we've had this whole long storyline with Shawn, but they also set up what comes next for Steve Austin. in that during one of the weeks where DX wasn't in the building, Steve Austin was, just raring to be mad with everybody, hit somebody. And this prompted Vince McMahon to appear. And, and eventually, and Steve Austin kind of directly got into McMahon's face about this whole thing. He's mad that, first of all, that Vince McMahon keeps calling Mike Tyson the baddest man on the planet. He's like, nah, son.
Yeah, it seems like the sort of thing he would take issue with.
Yeah, but then also Steve Austin's like, be straight with me here, Vince. You don't want me to be WWE champion. You don't like me. And, Vince McMahon tries to play this off, tries to not give an answer about that. But the next week, they do an interview, and Vince McMahon is again trying to be like, well, it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what the fans think. But, eventually they are able to get enough needling. Vince McMahon goes mask off about this and goes, do I want Steve Austin as WWE champion? That's not just a no. That's a hell no.
Wait, is this all in kayfabe?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
This is kayfabe. We're doing the kayfabe. This is all kayfabe. Vince McMahon was all too happy to let Steve Austin.
Okay. See, I was wondering about that. I'm like, that seems like a weird backstage. If that were legit, weird a grudge for McMahon to hold. But
it would be. It would be, yes. But now this is all kayfabe too. So they're setting up that Vince McMahon versus Steve Austin going forward, and and Steve Austin also got plenty of opportunities to attack WWE officials. Throughout this segment, when he couldn't get his hands on Shawn Michaels, he probably got his hands on whatever random referee or WWE management that happened to be around. And it's one of those things that if you were trying to be charitable to Vince McMahon, you could. It is kind of not squeaky clean good guy behavior from Steve Austin, but then you also understand that even in kayfabe, Vince McMahon is taking credit for the Montreal Screwjob thing, and so it's very much you're kind of bullying Vince here for even though he hasn't directly done anything to you, but we understand that even in character, Vince is a huge asshole.
Yeah,
and it's totally okay to kick his ass. So that is where those pieces are going for that. The next match to look at, Undertaker and Kane. It finally happened. Is a couple weeks after the whole burial thing, the whole fire casket thing. Undertaker returned, and he was like, "Okay, you know what? I've thought about it. I've talked." He soothed the souls of his parents. That's his words. That's his words. The promo he cuts to do for this is very melodramatic and metal. But he's like, you know what? Fine. I will fight you, Kane.
He sued the souls of it took them to court? Took their souls to court?
No, he sued because their parents are dead.
Yeah,
so he's soothing. So he's
soothe.
Soothe.
Oh yeah, soothsayer. Okay.
Yeah, he Undertaker, who can clearly communicate with the dead.
I thought you said sued, and I was like, why the fuck did he take them to court?
Oh no, dead. No, sued. Yeah, no, he talked it over with the spirits of his parents. He got the blessing. He's gonna fight Kane now. And he gives the whole promo. He's like, I'm gonna drag you to the depths of hell, Kane.
Beautiful, amazing. Wow. Good
times. And they spend a few weeks passive aggressively doing spoopy magic at each other. Kane shoots lightning bolts at random members of the stage crew. The Undertaker makes cabinets flicker.
Oh, beautiful.
It's all very kind of dorky but I think it's fun anyway.
It kind of it's one of those things. It evokes the imagery, and you kind of have to let your imagination do kind of some of the legwork there.
Yeah. So then Undertaker and Kane, they have their match at WrestleMania. It is a decent match. I don't think Undertaker and Kane ever have really great matches with each other. They let their characters and their backstory with each other do a lot of the legwork in this regard. But you do get the kind of Undertaker. You get this kind of really good imagery for Kane, where Undertaker wins, but he has to hit Kane with 3 tombstone pile drivers.
Okay.
Like the notion that anyone could kick out of 1 tombstone pile driver, which is the Undertaker's signature move, is already a bit of a wild one. But Kane kicks out of 2 of them, so it took 3 to put him down. So they do a good job of selling this like this was the hardest, the toughest challenge the Undertaker has ever faced.
Yeah. They really built him up to like just be both of them up to be like that powerful and in a way, you know, such sufficient matches for each other that I can kind of respect that.
Yeah. But that is that, and I don't believe they're done. But where they go from here, we have no real setup for. Next up, the WWF Tag Team Championship match between Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie and the New Age Outlaws.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And it was a dumpster match. Now, this requires a little backstory in that in the build up to this WrestleMania, there was an iconic moment where Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie had a match with each other once on Raw because they're both crazy assholes who like punching each other as much as they like punching other people together. So they have a match and they wind up like fighting in a dumpster. And then the New Age Outlaws show up and like push the dumpster over the stage, off the stage.
I'm sorry?
And it's this whole big moment of like, oh my God, well, how could they do this? And so like, and it becomes a dumpster becomes the New Age Outlaws' signature weapon for a while. They just show up to their matches to bring dumpsters to throw
that
people
seems
in.
A little cumbersome. I'm not gonna lie.
It kind of is, but you know, Charlie and Jack have and the Outlaws have been going back and forth. Kind of a big character storyline development is the New Age Outlaws keep showing up, like they keep getting help from DX. Like there's a real alliance here that's happening on a regular basis.
Of course.
The 2 degenerate sophomore dickhead groups are great friends.
Yeah, well, imagine my shock.
Yeah, so they have this match, and it's a pretty fun one for how short it is. And Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie, they win. They are the tag team champions.
Yes, thank God.
Yeah, so that's kind of that. Up next, The Rock and Ken Shamrock for the Intercontinental Championship. I'm real excited to be talking about this.
Oh boy,
because the Nation of Domination is not having a good time right now.
So as I recall from last we left them, yes.
Yeah, it only got worse. We hit a turning point in the relationship between Farouk and The Rock. In that, up to this point, like they haven't got along great, but Farouk hasn't been actively malicious.
Yeah, no, he hasn't. From what you everything I remember you saying, he hasn't really assessed The Rock to be like an actual threat to his leadership.
He figured it out when, is at their last pay-per-view, No Way Out of Texas, the pay-per-view that happened in between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. There was some miscommunication that cost the Nation of Domination one of their matches. And so to smooth things over, The Rock got everyone presents. For Mark Henry and D'Lo Brown, he got Rolex gold watches worth $15,000.
The fuck?
For Farouk, he gave him a portrait of The Rock.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, and this is absolutely this is a huge moment where The Rock gifts Farouk a giant portrait of himself.
It's funny because like up till now, it seems like it seems like the dissonance forming in Nation of Domination had been almost kind of innocent. Like The Rock wasn't like meaning to usurp Farouk's leadership. He's just like so charismatic and such a natural leader, he couldn't help it. And Farouk was just like kind of this like was kind of naive to it all. But this is such a pronounced like dick move from The Rock. This completely repaints everything.
Yeah, if The Rock, I don't know, you don't know if The Rock was trying to usurp power before. He's made it clear now what he's doing.
Yeah, no.
And,
He's read
and,
the writing on the wall, baby.
and thankfully, Farouk is not stupid and does and also sees this for what it is.
Oh no.
So for the next few weeks, The Rock, unfortunately, Farouk hasn't decided to actually kick The Rock out. He's just doing a lot of passive aggressive actions. Like they're passive aggressively hitting each other with weapons accidentally and costing each other matches.
Oh no. What a tragedy.
Yeah, so where does that leave? In the midst of all this, you still have Ken Shamrock, violent MMA monster.
A lot of anger issues. He should have gone to therapy with Kane and Daniel Bryant. Truly,
he should have.
Yeah.
But in this, he has a match with the Rock, and we kind of do what we haven't got to talk. Something we haven't got to talk about on this show before is the Dusty finish. It's named for based on Dusty Rhodes, who was kind of a wrestler who popularized this when he was like the head writer character. Slash wrestler in his heyday career. But basically a Dusty finish is when they have a match and one person, generally the babyface, seems to have won the match, but then thanks to a rules technicality, that decision is overturned.
Okay.
Yeah, and to defend Dusty Rhodes on this one, I think in small doses, it's a really cool technique to kind of like mess with to kind of generate this reaction of like, you get the fans being like, oh my God, the guy I wanted to win won. But then some ticky-tack rule garbage costs them the win. And it can work really well, I think, to get fans to be like, we really want to see the rematch because we want to see him win for realsies next time.
Yeah.
The big problem with the Dusty finish is Dusty Rhodes way overused it to the point where the fans stopped caring because, if you use it too much, then people stop buying into that initial moment of like thinking that the good guy won. But that didn't happen here. This one worked really well. But basically, Ken Shamrock, he got The Rock to tap out. He got to the ankle lock. He was the Intercontinental Champion. But because he is a roid ragey Magoo who can't help himself, he was still too hopped up on adrenaline. He kind of just keeps attacking people to the point where he beats The Rock so bad that they have to like stretcher The Rock out, and he's like attacking officials and going mad wild, and then the rest like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm changing my ruling. DQ. The Rock wins by DQ.
Jesus.
Which Ken Shamrock's response to that is to then knock The Rock off the gurney.
What? Jeez, on. Why is he? I mean, I love that we have a character that's like just this unhinged, like anger issues and all that. But holy shit, dude.
Yeah, but we do get this hilarious visual of like when they change the decision, The Rock is being stretchered away, and he like limply raises the title up in celebration as he's like being stretchered out.
It sounds like something from a cartoon.
Like he's taking this W.
He's proud of it. Oh my God.
The Rock didn't just get to have a match at WrestleMania, though. I'm bringing this up just because I feel like I have to bring it up because it happened, and I want you to know that it happened.
Okay.
Before this match, he has a sit-down interview with Jennifer Flowers. For people who don't immediately know who that is, Jennifer Flowers got famous for claiming to be one of Bill Clinton's mistresses in the lead up to the 1992 presidential election.
Oh.
So, to add some greater context here, the Monica Lewinsky scandal happened in January of 1998. And the WWE was really into talking about it.
Of course they were. Why wouldn't they be into talking?
So many jokes.
Oh no!
I think the only one that I really have any fondness for is when DX decided to get in on this, and Shawn Michaels goes, and just want to point this out, is I did not sleep with that young intern. As a matter of fact, I was up all night.
Oh God. Oh, Sean, God damn it.
But yeah, to be clear, the WWE has always really liked making Bill Clinton jokes during his administration. As someone who's had to watch through 1994, a lot of that at this point, there's like a weekly joke on commentary about Bill or Hillary Clinton. And WWE multiple times used a Bill Clinton impersonator to show up on TV and make jokes.
Why?
I mean, if you want to get into the political sense,
I know why. I know why. And I know why nobody like thought that was dumb and tired for, majority of the audience, but like holy shit, dude.
Yeah, it's
holy
shit. It is generally lame. But The Rock has this sit-down interview with Jennifer Flowers where he like expresses his political aspirations as to one day be president. And isn't that a kind of funny thing to talk about in 2021? But he basically, to be clear, the interview is basically has two things. Is that one, The Rock is extremely vain and narcissistic, and two, The Rock clearly doesn't know anything about politics. The Rock, the character. I don't really know. I don't know how I don't know how politically knowledgeable Dwayne Johnson is in 1998, to be fair. But The Rock, that guy's an idiot. So he's just making a lot of jokes that I admit are like kind of funny, but then also somewhat uncomfortable to hear in a 2021 context based off of certain political like opinions that have been propagated a lot. But he'll say shit like the homeless crisis. As long as The Rock's got his mansion, all the homeless people can sleep in all the boxes they want. And then,
yikes.
And then, like, Jennifer Flowers tries to ask him about criminal justice reform, and then he does this extremely long joke to eventually make a comment about a hung jury. Get it?
Yeah. They made him part of the Nation of Domination. What? So the Black Liberation guy is cracking jokes about homeless people in boxes and hung juries. What?
I mean, to be fair, The Rock has never, as a character, he never really conformed to any of the political aspirations. He never like expressed like the same political opinions and aspirations that Farouk did. Like that was Farouk's thing, and like The Rock clearly didn't care that as a character did not care that much about it.
From what you told me about how like Nation of Domination ends up, that doesn't surprise me, but still, Jesus.
No, and so it happens. It's one of those things where it's like it feels weird that you like Jennifer Flowers is who you think is gonna get people to buy this pay-per-view, because she shows up she gets multiple advertisements on Raw being like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna be at WrestleMania," and it's like you think that would have convinced that you okay. Whatever. Oh, speaking of celebrities, I forgot about this. Is that this was the show that started the longest running rivalry in Kane's career, besides The Undertaker. Pete Rose.
Oh.
Pete Rose, famous baseball player, most hits of any baseball player in history. Never going to be in the Hall of Fame because he gambled he bet on his team while he was a coach.
Of course he did.
Rip. I think it's stupid. He should be in the Hall of Fame, but whatever, not important. What is important is he shows up at WrestleMania as a celebrity guest, and he's ostensibly there to be a guest announcer for the Kane-Undertaker match, and he uses his intro to just shit on Boston, because that's where the show is. And then Kane shows up and hits him with a pile driver.
Is there a reason?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense because Kane's a heel, so why is he beating up the guy attacking the local sports teams? But it does become a running gag of like Pete Rose will make several more appearances for WWE, and every single time Kane is the one who shows up and attacks and beats him up. I forgot about that when I was talking about Undertaker Kane. But yes, there goes that. And now, next match, Mark Marrow and Sable versus Goldust and Luna Vashon. So, as we have remembered, Mark Marrow is currently somehow becoming the least liked, the most unlikable person on this show because he has a hot wife who he keeps bringing to the ring with him, even though he knows that when he brings his wife to the ring, everyone's gonna cheer because they like his hot wife, and then he's gonna get mad about the fact that they all like his hot wife that he's bringing to the ring.
But Austin, the real question is there a space between hot and wife? What kind of hot wife is she? Is she hot wife one word or hot wife two words? So it's a big important difference.
What?
Hot wife is a thing of like. I gotta make sure.
I'm confused.
A married woman who has sexual relationships outside of her marriage.
I'm pretty sure that is not Sable. No.
Okay.
It's just the fact that she enjoys being sexy in front of other people, and Mark Marrow doesn't like the fact that his wife likes being sexy in front of other people.
Yep, no. Jealousy issues abound. Again, we're taking just like the Randy Savage Elizabeth thing and cranking it up to 11.
It kind of is actually that. But, so, where does this play? How did Goldust and Luna get here? Eventually, Mark Marrow was friends with Goldust for some reason, because he kept bringing in Goldust to help him in his schemes to make people not get to see his hot wife. Like the time that he brought his wife out, and it was Goldust dressed as Sable. Or one time he sent his wife back to the ring and was going to bring out celebrity guest Marilyn Manson, very late 90s. And It is, in fact, once again Goldust dressed as Marilyn Manson.
Jesus Christ. The weird indignities they made Dustin Okay, whatever.
But it all kind of fell apart a little bit because Sable doesn't like Luna Vashon. So they started fighting. And when they started fighting, that caused Goldust to start fighting with Sable. And when Goldust starts fighting with Sable, here comes Mark Marrow to be like, hey, whoa, pal. Nobody fights with my wife but me.
No, okay.
And so they had a match together, and it's Sable and Luna Vashon is super fascinating, and this is whole storyline. This, and then obviously Mark Marrow and Sable's storyline overall. It makes Sable's entire career, and Sable as a talent, not great. It's hard for me to ignore that. She's not much of a wrestler, not much of a character worker.
Unfortunate.
But the crowd is so into Sable, and right now, you'd think she was Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I mean, after however long of getting constantly berated by her husband, I get why.
Mm-hmm. Like, people are so into Sable, and that's carrying her far. I admit to it. And so, yeah, they have a match at WrestleMania. Sable's actually in there doing moves, and the crowd's eating it up, and they win. Marrow and Sable on the same page for one glorious moment. Don't worry, we'll get right back to the other stuff. So, that's that. Next, we have the European Championship match, Triple H and Owen Hart. This is so terrible. This is so bad on so many levels. So let's just go.
Here we are.
So we spent enough time talking about how terrible it is that we're already just at Owen Hart is fighting Triple H for the European Championship as his revenge for Montreal, despite the fact that Triple H didn't do Montreal and it wasn't over the European title. We've already got to that.
Yeah.
But then it just keeps getting worse and going downhill. Because, first, Triple H, I guess, refuses to lose to Owen Hart, or I don't know what happened here. But they have a situation where Owen Hart is supposed to wrestle Triple H, and instead he wrestles Goldust dressed as Triple H.
What?
And then Owen Hart wins, and it is determined that, well, Owen Hart was supposed to have a match against Triple H for the European title, and he wrestled someone claiming to be Triple H. So Owen is the European champion now.
Sure.
But then, a few weeks ago, Owen Hart rolled his ankle really bad in a match against Barry Windham, is one of the NWA guys. Not really important besides the fact that he rolled his ankle. And so now they're like, well, and then the plan at WrestleMania was always to have Triple H beat Owen Hart to win that title back. Yeah. So now they're like, well, he really injured himself. What if he can't wrestle at WrestleMania? What do we do? So what they do is they have a match on Raw. They have this match on Raw to make sure that Triple H can beat Owen Hart. And Owen Hart is in a freaking legitimate, he's in a boot.
Yeah.
And Triple H wins with the softest ankle lock you've ever seen. Which, to be fair, I get it, because Owen Hart was legitimately injured. You can't do you don't want to actually hurt him on this.
Seriously.
But he beats Owen Hart to win the European title, and then at WrestleMania they do a stipulation where Sergeant Slaughter, who is the commissioner right now, is Vince McMahon has not taken up the weekly role of being the guy in charge of making matches. He's still letting Slaughter do that.
Okay.
And so Slaughter makes a match where he will be handcuffed to China at ringside to make sure that China can't interfere in the match. Spoilers. China interferes in the match because Sergeant Slaughter is a retired wrestler in his early 50s, and China is a bodybuilder in her prime. Obviously, Slaughter isn't doing anything to stop China.
What?
And so China still interferes and costs Owen the match, and Triple H wins and retains the title. It's all very sad.
What? No, come on. What a bad way to treat your heart.
Aren't you glad you stayed, Owen? Aren't you glad you didn't leave like every other member of your family?
It's so bad. Just like all of the really good people that Vince and his eternal bullshit made some of his most talented and most delightful people suffer. Is just ugh.
To be fair, the other Hearts in WCW aren't doing too hot right now.
Yikes!
Despite the fact that the Hart family should have come up on the positive, if the Hart family is proof of that karma doesn't exist, because the Montreal screw job happens, and the only people who come out of it with any severe negative repercussions are the Harts,
the victims of the thing. Jesus Christ, the screw job is so depressing.
It is. That happens. Taka Michinoku and Aguila for the light heavyweight championship. They still don't give a shit about this title, but hey, they're doing Taka Michinoku and Aguila. They wrestle a pretty good match.
Hey, it's not Jerry Lawler's dumbass fail son, so I'll take it.
That's true. Glad we didn't have to deal with that. And then the first match of the show, is a battle royal to determine the new number one contenders for the tag team titles. So just kind of a quick rundown of some of the stories going on related to that. The winners of the match are LOD 2000. That is the same Legion of Doom, Road Warrior, Hawk, and Animal. They had a moment where they maybe are thinking about breaking the team up, and then a few weeks later they reveal that no, they are not breaking up. They are just having a cool new look, and they're LOD 2000 now, getting all updated and crap.
Beautiful.
Anyway, that happens. Gang Wars is basically no more. RIP, because all the groups are breaking up.
Oh, I'm so sad about that.
Basically, the most talented member of the DOA, Crush, which says a lot about the DOA.
True. Jesus.
He jumped ship to WCW, so they're fucked. The Truth Commission is broken up so they can focus on Kurgan. So goodbye. And then the Nation of Domination is about 1 week away from falling apart.
The hell
goodbye.
Yikes.
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Rip the gang wars. You won't be missed at all.
What the fuck? Yikes. Kill me. Oh, God.
But yes, and then the NWA still happening. I think I have figured out what they were going for here. I did some research into this, and I figured it out.
Oh, okay.
They're subtweeting WCW again. Because the thing is, because the NWA as a brand is closely associated with WCW.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
So they are making the NWA a bunch of boring, inept losers. So because that is the closest thing to having WCW on the show that they can do.
So for this petty gripe, we're making all the fans suffer through their boring bullshit?
Yep.
You know what? That sounds like Vince McMahon. You know what? I believe it. Okay.
It's still happening. I still don't care.
Jesus.
And I believe that covers it all.
Wow. And it's the longest intro we've had in a while.
Yeah, it is. I have a lot to go over, I'm afraid.
I actually have notes. I feel it makes me feel vindicated for actually resolving to take notes now.
Yeah. So that is that. We are going to watch this is the first episode after WrestleMania. Those on occasion, this is before the era of that being of the Raw after Mania being a big thing. But usually they at least put out a couple of things. It's all WrestleMania is almost a new season premiere in a way if you want to look at it that way. There's usually something worth talking about, and I can guarantee you that there is stuff to talk about on this one because that's why I picked it.
Yes. Exciting stuff.
All right, so we will see you guys in the back half. And we are back. We have just finished the March 30th, 1998 edition of Monday Night Raw is War /Warzone.
That was interesting.
Yeah, I feel like we have so much to talk about because a lot happened, good and bad.
There's just a lot going on here, and all of it's kind of all over the place. I feel like I've said that a lot about the 90s era. Attitude Era. Jesus.
Yes.
I feel like I said that a lot about the Attitude Era. But oh my god, it's all just kind of it is. This era was just they just jumped between a zillion things, and some of it worked and some of it didn't, and it's always interesting to see kind of what did and didn't.
Yeah, so where do you want to start? Because there's there's three major plot points, I think, this episode. We could start on any of them.
Honestly, I kind of want to start with the nation thing. That happened first, and it was probably by far the most interesting part of the episode to me.
Mm-hmm. Technically, Steve Austin went first, but
oh my god, yeah, Austin got arrested.
We can start with the nation.
Mm-hmm.
There has been a coup in the nation.
Yes, I mean, yeah. Who would have thunk? Who could have possibly seen this coming?
No, after months of this buildup, tonight was the night where it happened. The Rock kicked Farouk out of the nation.
Yeah, which the whole thing was kind of fascinating. Because you have this tag team match with Farouk and The Rock, and then you got Shamrock and Blackman on the other side. And the whole time, The Rock is just clowning on Farouk. He is screwing this man over, very purposefully, to the point where the two of them just get yeeted, right? Yeah. And then the rest of the nation comes out, and Rock's walking away, and everybody else looks super pissed. And you think it's gonna be a reckoning for The Rock, but then the nation starts stomping Farouk, and The Rock's kind of and The Rock gives his little eyebrow cock, and it's all iconic, and oh yeah, this is why he's a superstar. Yeah, this is why he's a superstar A-lister now, because
Mhm.
everything he does looks like perfect, and he took over. It was all this nice little self-contained thing, but oh my god, it was nuts.
Oh yeah, like this segment had so many layers more than I thought it would. Because you're right, is that like I didn't, I've always heard, like, obviously as a wrestling fan I knew
Yeah,
the end result here, but I'd never really seen the actual moment, so I was not prepared for the plot twisty aspect of it. Of like they set it all up quite well as like the Rock leaves the match, and then Farouk gets on the microphone and is like, "All right, yeah, you know what? Had enough. You get back here, and I'm gonna kick your ass." And so they 100% set this whole thing up as like the Rock finally going to kind of get a comeuppance for him, kind of slowly but surely taking power away from Farouk, only to then reveal, haha, no,
yeah. Well,
the Rock planned out this betrayal.
Well, I think what's so fascinating about it for me too is like it does a really good job at kind of putting the audience inside Farouk's head without us really realizing it.
Mm,
Because when we talked about this storyline in the past, every time you've explained bits and pieces of it, you've made it very clear how The Rock was kind of slowly starting to transition everyone's loyalties away from Farouk and toward him. And
mm,
so there's the audience has some like kind of conscious understanding of that. But then you see Rock screws up the match. And Rock is the one that's walking away all like cocky or whatever. And we see the nation rallying around Farouk, and we see Farouk hop on the mic and say, "No, get back here. You need to answer for what you just did." Um, and it kind of tricked us into being in Farouk's mindset of not realizing what The Rock has done to radicalize every other member of the nation, and thinking that things are as they appear, things are as they have been. They're on Farouk's side, and they're going to stay that way. And then we're reminded, no, that's not remotely it. So it kind of does this really good job of dropping the surprise on us,
mhm.
even without it. If you think about it for more than 2 seconds, without it being actually remotely surprising, I think that's a really surprisingly effective writing beat they did there.
Yeah, overall, I have to say that this whole storyline that we've kind of followed from almost the beginning
Yeah.
has been really well paced and well planned out.
Hmm.
And I think it culminated in a really satisfying way of The Rock now has full control of the nation on his own. They're no then they're and they are devoted to The Rock's goals.
Yeah. Which is also a nice kind of way to transfer the nation completely out of the gang war thing
Right, which
into
is
kind of a new
super
era.
dead.
Yeah, I know. Well, because like they really stuck around, they really stuck it out.
Mm.
And yeah, I'll give them props for effective like recycling of their gang team here. With an all new kind of story beat that doesn't rely remotely on kind of their origins.
Mhm. Yeah, just really solid stuff overall. I wish there was more I could say about the match, but the match isn't really anything special. A thing that I will repeat a few times tonight.
Hmm.
Honestly, I don't think any of the matches were any that worthwhile.
No,
But that
they
that's
really
very
weren't.
that's very of the style of this era, to be
Yeah,
honest.
that's true. There are some that have been cool, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, the more I think about it, God, the matches of the Attitude Era just do not stand up to like the storylines.
Hmm.
They're so secondary.
Pretty much, yeah. Like you look at the matches tonight. The main event is the longest match at just under 5 minutes.
And even then, like, it was such a bizarre match. Like,
Mhm.
why are we
Like
why
so little happened in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Like, the most notable things were we'll get to that.
Yeah, because
But
that
yeah,
requires more setup from stuff that happened earlier in the night.
yeah. so Mark Henry and Mustafa and D'Lo are all now disciples of The Rock, and Farouk is out on his ass, and who knows what's going to happen to him.
Yep.
Jesus.
I know where
Well,
his career
Austin
goes,
knows what's going to happen to him.
but you know where. But I have to pretend I don't.
Yeah, this is for my sake. We're not trying to spoil things for the David here.
Mm.
But I mean, it was effective, and it was a nice segment, and I liked it being there. So yeah, it's good on you. There was probably my favorite part of part of the episode, honestly.
Yeah, I think that one might have been probably the most solid overall. I think that I think the Austin stuff is really good, but there's also a little bit of padding to it that it just wasn't super necessary.
Yeah, it doesn't do a whole lot outside of its kind of main purpose for us to really like. So moving on to that one, I guess. So Stone Cold Steve Austin gets arrested.
Let's lead up to that.
Yeah, I know. I just had to drop the out
that
of
is
context.
the big one. Yeah, out of context. Yeah, Steve Austin has been arrested again.
Again.
I don't remember if this is the first time or not. It is definitely not the last time it's
more than once.
It's definitely not the last time we do this.
Jesus.
I'm actually completely surprised that he didn't come back by the end of the show, because here's the thing, is because like in the future, they'll use the gets arrested gag, but then like they will come back from jail by the end of the show, which please don't try to think about, the logistics of that timeline wise, because it doesn't work.
Look, they just posted the bail super quick. All right.
You expect me to believe that they were arrested and processed, and then they were put in jail, and then they posted bail, and then they drove back to the arena in 2 hours.
Yes.
Alrighty then. Anyway, so the show opens leading off with Vince McMahon and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Let's get this out of the way now, because Steve Austin's the champ. Vince McMahon has previously made it very clear that he didn't want Steve Austin to win. Mm-hmm. And so Vince McMahon is there to present Steve Austin with the redesigned WWF Championship. This would be the design of the belt that would be famous for the Attitude Era. And I do like that they kind of literally signaling in a new era with a new belt. Mm-hmm. But so he comes out to present the new belt.
And Stone Cold basically just dunks on him, is like, you know what, Vince? I don't know how good my Stone Cold is, but he's like, you know what, Vince? I know you didn't want me doing this. I know you didn't want me. I know you didn't want me to win, but I won, so fuck you, basically.
Essentially, yeah. And Vince McMahon, once again, in the presence of, he's not yet at the point where he's okay with, Vince McMahon isn't yet at the point where he's okay with publicly telling Steve Austin that he hates him. Yeah. He'll get there. Right now, he's still trying to be like respectable businessman in front of Steve Austin.
Yeah, he's tap dancing around the issue a little bit. He's like, oh, I don't hate you, Stone Cold. I respect you. You won,
Yeah, he does that kind of thing, and Stone Cold. I appreciate the fact that, like, as a character, Stone Cold Steve Austin might be a beer swilling redneck as it is, but he's also not stupid. He's got the street smarts. He sees what's going on here.
He's able to kind of like read the writing on the wall of like what happens when Vince McMahon doesn't like you. What sort of shit do you have to put up with? And so of course he's just there to kind of make it clear he is not going to put up, in fact, with Vince McMahon's shit. And God, he ends up Stone Cold stunning that's McMahon again, doesn't he?
That's the basis of him getting arrested. But the setup for that is that Vince McMahon does end up decides to stop waffling for a little bit, and he's like, well, is that he kind of sets the ultimatum that Stone Cold is going to clean up his act. He's not going to be the number one representative for this company while being the the kind of violent asshole that he is. He's like, that's not gonna work.
Even though Vince McMahon's whole job is to employ violent assholes.
Yeah, it's super weird that like what was more respectable about Shawn Michaels pointing at his dick every 5 seconds in his bathroom?
God, look. Vince McMahon has a very specific respect language, and it happens to be dudes pointing at their dicks.
So, and Vince McMahon explicitly is like, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way.
Very poor choice of words.
Yeah, and so obviously Vince and so Steve Stone Cold is like, yeah, I'm gonna not take the easy way, thanks, and then stuns him. And then hits Vince with a Stone Cold Stunner.
Which I was disappointed Vince did not have an overdramatic seizure this time. I was
Vince McMahon learned how to take a stunner. He gets a lot of practice at this.
No, I liked it when he had a seizure. It was so goofy.
No, that first time where he is flopping around like a fish because he doesn't seem to know he doesn't really know how this is supposed to work, but now he's got it down.
Yeah, he's got the internal world logic going. He finally figured it out.
Yeah, so he's laid out, and Steve Austin is just he walks away from this, and then Vince McMahon decides to take legal action.
Yeah, they finally revive him after like legions of people swarm. Not legions, but you got several medics and a ref or two there, and
they really sell this idea that like he got laid out by the stunner.
But then he comes to and is like security.
No, he calls the cops immediately.
Yeah, and sure enough, cut to a hallway shot of Austin getting intercepted by the fuzz.
Yeah, we get we even get a couple of like them hunting for Austin in the hallways. So.
Yeah,
just to make sure you understand what's going on here. Constant reminders.
Chekhov's whatever though. It's like we've talked about earlier. It's the dumb version of Chekhov's gun where we keep cutting back to the gun and hey, by the way, this gun.
They find Austin in the locker room and they arrest him, and Steve Austin's jaw jacking all the way back, including he shoulder tackles Vince McMahon into a locker.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Oh my god, yeah, he goes so hard, it's hilarious. He's so mad, dude.
No, he's had enough of this, and he's yelling at Vince all the way from them getting him into the car, and they drive off, and that is the last we see of Steve Austin on this show.
It's the last we see of Steve Austin on this show.
It's true.
However,
we do get he late in the show. He calls from jail
to the stadium PA system somehow.
I don't really know how he got that number or that it had a number, but he does call in, and it's basically like, and he literally says straight up that giving someone a Stone Cold Stunner doesn't get you the death penalty. So that means that eventually Vince McMahon's ass is his.
Yeah, I mean. Look, it ain't gonna even get him life, so sure he can be let loose to Stone Cold Stun again.
Dude's gonna be out of jail by next week,
Yeah, I mean, someone's gonna have the loads of money to pay out his bail or whatever. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. He basically shows up. He calls from jail to make sure that people understand that he will be back, and he is threatening Vince McMahon with more assault.
At this point, I'm surprised we're not gonna have it so that we're just moving Vince McMahon to like a secure location where Stone Cold can't track him down, but then we inevitably do something where like Stone Cold still tracks him down. I feel like that is like where this storyline should go, but I also feel like it's not gonna remotely go there.
It doesn't. And it would be very fun. It would be very funny if they did that, but Vince McMahon would never ever concede. He would see that as conceding to Stone Cold in some way.
How would he see that as conceding. He's avoiding assault. He can still pull all the strings he likes. He just not.
It's much like how you can't let the terrorists win by living in fear. He can't live in fear of the Stone Cold Stunner, David.
Is he at the very least going to surround himself with more security detail or something? Anything to make him less vulnerable to this crazy motherfucker who wants to drop him again?
Not security detail, but he'll find wrestlers to do his dirty work.
And that's not conceding? That's the most cowardly way you could go about this. I like because like if you're having other wrestlers do your dirty work, that's just you using like the purview of the company you own to like do some like weird screwy shit. At least with like a security detail, there's an air of legitimacy there, or at least hiding yourself away. You're just being practical. But having other wrestlers do your dirty work, like, come on, dude.
You're asking a carny to keep an air of legitimacy.
But he's trying to. How is the most cowardly like version of this not conceding to Stone Cold?
I don't know, but Vince McMahon doesn't see it this way.
Because Vince McMahon's a fucking moron. But we've talked about
the next several months of this storyline are Vince McMahon trying to find other people to beat Steve Austin for the title.
He like oh my god, everything on this show gets taken care of through the purview of the matches, which is really funny considering how secondary every single one of the matches feel to anything that's going on story-wise.
Yeah.
Like, it's so funny. This era is at its peak of we solve everything in the ring. Every single dumb little piece of interpersonal drama gets solved in the ring, and yet the matches feel like nothing.
Oh, the matches that are on pay-per-view feel mildly more important.
Well, okay, yeah, because the matches on pay-per-view actually have like consistently important characters, and they're not just throwing some random like, random whatever they want at us. It actually has some consequence.
Raw is very fillery in its matches, but so that covers that. There's no match on this show that like connects to that storyline.
That's just it. Like, I'm sure it'll build up to something at some point. Do we ever get to see Austin and McMahon square off in ring? Does that ever get to happen? Yay!
It happens multiple times.
Yay! I look forward to that. That'll be good. I've been waiting to see McMahon like tear off his fucking suit and show us that ripped bod underneath. That ripped. God, I wish I had been a wrestler bod, but this is the closest I can get with my rich money bod.
Yep, pretty much. That's an extremely accurate summation of Vince McMahon.
I have been waiting. I want to see McMahon in ring. It's the culmination of his dream.
Yeah, he wanted to be a wrestler. His dad said no, so he just took over a wrestling company so then he could make himself a wrestler whenever he wanted to be.
Yeah, even though he doesn't really do that all that often, as far as I can tell.
He probably has like 60 to 70 matches to his name over the years.
Oh, okay.
They're very condensed to this period, of course, but
wait, no.
He had a match as late as 2012 against CM Punk of all people.
Wait, what?
But we're probably never going to touch on that because the storyline that it's from isn't that good.
Oh.
But he does. His last match ever was he wrestled Punk on Raw.
Oh my god! I feel like we need to do like this is such a tangent. I feel like we need to do at some point just like an episode, like a compilation episode of like matches that like we could never feasibly get to as part of the show, but like they're so wild we gotta watch them.
That's fair. I'll think about it.
Anyway, but yeah, so Stone Cold is in jail now after getting mouthy with McMahon and dropping with a stunner. But he will be back, and that's about all we get. We just know there's going to be a continuing saga with these two. It's been going thus far. I mean, the thing is, there's not even all that much for me to like analyze here. That's like original because this is just kind of an extension of what we've talked about in the past of
Mhm.
Stone Cold is the face of the or is the face and the voice of the working class, the beer swilling, yada yada yada. And Vince McMahon is the ivory tower rich dude who hates his audience, yada yada yada. They're gonna fight. Of course, the show's gonna frame Stone Cold as basically in the right, aside from being a gigantic asshole. And yeah, that's about it. We know why this is effective, and it just
Yeah,
kind of
this
like
is yeah. If I was to treat if we're gonna look at the Raw after WrestleMania as a pseudo season premiere, which you can sometimes WWE leans into that idea, and I
yeah.
think they definitely did on this episode. I think they tried to set up a lot of stuff going forward on this episode, and this I think this segment kind of existed to reaffirm that like, hey, yes, now they've had problems before, and now that Stone Cold is the champ, they are definitely gonna have some problems.
Yeah, I feel like this is another one of those things where like part of the reason it probably doesn't excite us as much is because like we don't exist in the cultural context of the era where like
Mm-hmm.
Stone Cold Steve Austin was a revelation. Um
Mm-hmm.
because now like our version of Stone Cold in a lot of ways is CM Punk,
Mm-hmm.
where there's a very like 2010s reason as to why we find someone like him appealing. Austin
Mm-hmm.
was a hero of the 90s for good reason, but now kind of like living outside of that, it it exists
It's
it exists in a comprehensible way in a vacuum, but it
mhm.
doesn't like culturally hold up to the point where like I'm really feeling things here.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would consider Hogan in the 80s in a very similar fashion of like I definitely get why he worked, but outside of that cultural context of the 80s as this kind of super patriotic nationalistic hero in colorful spandex, outside like not being in the 80s, I can't relate to it.
Well, the thing with Hogan is like he's a little bit easier to comprehend without that context.
Yeah, he is a little
Because
more universal in that way.
yeah, he like permeated the cultural consciousness a lot more like throughout the ages, and B,
Mhm.
like knowing the context of he was kind of like the first to really embody that sort of character and just how over the top he goes with it. That's like for as dumb as it can be sometimes, that's like the advantage to the cartoony aspect of the 80s is that like you can buy into it because of its very cartoony simplicity. Like there's still something there, whereas like we're in like the gritty realism of the late 90s attitude era. So Austin is Stone Cold Steve Austin is this very muted version of that, which I'm sure at the time was insanely effective. Nowadays, like I sit here and I'm like, I get it, it doesn't particularly excite me, I
I
don't
I
think.
feel like he's a very Gen X hero too, and we're a couple of millennials.
Yeah, that's pretty true. Like this is
Just
I
to make
this
just to shorten this into like one sentence.
yeah, to add on an addendum sentence, whoops, David had another take that'll anger a lot of like a lot of like hardcore like old school fans.
Yeah,
I seem to do that a lot, don't I?
oof. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Look, this is our podcast. If you wanna share different opinions, go make your own. Um Yeah. But so yeah, that happened. And then I guess big storyline number 3 is DGen X is continuing to do their own
Yes,
thing.
DX has growing. Shawn Michaels is out. Get the fuck out.
Yeah,
Shawn
he
is, and they do play it that way. Is instead of leaning into the idea that like he's hurt forever and ever, they basically play it as Triple H kicked him out.
which like I don't know how I necessarily feel about that as a character beat for DGen X because like on
Mhm.
one hand, I do think it's kind of effective to have it be like these guys are such belligerent douchebags that of course like they'll throw each other out at the first sign of weakness or whatever. But at the same time, they haven't entirely been built up that way. There was kind of this like camaraderie, this unbreakable feeling camaraderie between Shawn Michaels and Triple H and China. I mean, China's just kind of like theirs as window dressing, so whatever. But like this like unbreakable camaraderie that we haven't really seen. At least I haven't seen like big instances of either member of DGen X going like this hard into like backstabby mode or this hard into like destroy the weak link mode. So it's kind of jarring to see them play this angle rather than like my blood brother was injured by the awful like
Mhm.
why are we playing this weird angle with it? I don't quite get it.
Yeah, yeah, like they do like the whole angle at the Christmas episode was that Sergeant Slaughter tried to play them against each other and they literally made a farce about it. So this notion like it is a little weird. Like it makes sense in retroactively in that becomes like Triple H being like that makes a lot of sense looking at what his career becomes over the next like 20 years and what his character becomes. It makes a lot of sense that he would act like that. But like in the moment, it's not the cleanest transition. And it doesn't I don't think it adds that much of an edge to DX, a group who is going to quickly become babyface anyway, because the fans are going to get really into them being sophomoric assholes. Like they're going to find that. Like you see it tonight with like they got so many people in the crowd doing the crotch chops. So like it's the kind of thing like their stupid offensive shtick is going to get over with the fans as something that's funny. So they're going to be baby faces sooner rather than later at this point.
Sometimes I really hate the fans. Like, come on! Is the mob mentality so strong that all it takes is like some really identifiable, like quippy, dumb thing to like win everybody over? Because we've seen this with Daniel Bryan. We saw this with like the one dude, the one America problematic dude from the 2000s or whatever that we've talked about before.
Jack Swagger, the Real Americans.
Was that Jack Swagger? Oh Jesus!
Yes.
Whatever USA
We
weird
the people.
thing. We the people. Yeah, the we the people thing. We saw, I mean, we saw this to a really good extent with Punk, but that wasn't like them repeating back any phrases, so that's like, but like Jesus Christ, sometimes the dumb things that the crowd latches onto. Because I was watching the incessant crotch chop fest tonight, and I'm just sitting there like, there's something that's weirdly like weirdly satisfying about watching them just do this over and over again, but it's so dumb. It's so dumb, and of course it won over the fans. Goddamn course.
No, that and telling people that if they don't like it, they can suck it that's a super popular thing that the fans really like doing. So
I will give him this, and I should probably add in, oh hey, the artist formerly known as 123 Kid is in DX now.
So now that we've analyzed DX's appeal as characters, let's actually like move to what they were talking about, like what actually happened. So they're recruiting for the DX army of 5 people, but whatever. First, Triple H introduces one of his closest friends, the former 123 Kid. They don't name him in this episode, amazingly, but he will be going by X-Pac going forward, and it's just easier if I just use his name now.
What does X-Pac. That even mean, X-Pac?
All right, so let's try to break down his name, the 123 Kid's name progressions. So, I'll be honest, I don't know what Pac means. I don't.
That's the part I was confused about. X makes sense.
Well, okay, so what happens is the 123 Kid, he goes to WCW. They make him the 6th member of the NWO, which we haven't talked about that storyline because whatever, but it existed. And the joke is that 1 + 2 + 3 = 6. He is 6, SYXX. That's his name in WCW. And I believe they at one point call him 6-Pac. Is that a Tupac joke? Probably, but I don't really know. And then, he comes back, but then he hates it in WCW. So he comes back to WWE and he changes his name to X-Pac because he's in DX. And he will keep that name for the rest of his career.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. So to kind of explain some of they get real like as they make it. Someone on commentary does make a joke that everyone's shooting tonight. So I guess I have to explain the shoot stuff. So the real life drama that basically influenced this entire segment, because the whole segment only makes sense if you are at least passively familiar with the dramas of WCW. Because Vince Russo, as again, would like to point out that he believed that fans didn't give a shit because all the fans knew it was fake. They didn't actually care about any of the fake drama. More so, they cared a lot more about the real life drama that happens in the back. And so he wanted to put more of that into the show. To be fair, to be totally fair, WCW was also really bad about this kind of shit. Like that was just a thing they did. I agree. It is like it's not done in a way that's clever or fun. It is just super. I don't like it. But anyway, so Sean Waltman, aka X-Pac, is one of the is the least known member of the Clique. Shawn we talked about the curtain call with Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall. The fifth and final member of that friend group was 1, 2, 3 Kid, X-Pac. Yeah. And so he went to WCW. I believe it was to go along with Nash and Hall leaving. But then he comes back to hang out with his other bestie friend, Triple H, and they make reference to this on the show. And so he rags on Hulk Hogan because to the shock of no one, I tell you, is that Hulk Hogan used his clout as a top star to make sure that he was put in the best position possible and to make sure that nobody else could take his spot away from him. And so this, he didn't like it. Like, he didn't get along with it. He also believed that, he was also a big believer in, and to be fair, I don't know if this is his real opinion or it's conveniently this works out best for me opinion. But he also believed in a real delineation between heavyweights and non-heavyweights, and that heavyweights should be inherently placed as the superiorist, and that he really believed in a glass ceiling for people who were smaller than 215 pounds.
Oh, we'll get to that later.
Yep, we can get on that in the WWE sense, but. And again, I don't know if that's just kind of a real world opinion he had, or it was conveniently believing that makes it works best for Hogan, who is over 215 pounds.
Yeah.
As it turns out, being who should be all the top guys? Heavyweights. Hogan, a heavyweight. Says this. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Point being, he helped contribute to the culture of, people as small as Sean, as X-Pac, cruiserweights, essentially, having a very hard glass ceiling and how important and relevant they appear on WCW programming. And that helped contribute to his frustration and want to leave. And so,
I wonder why.
He shit talks Hogan. He shit talks Eric Bischoff, who runs WCW, and he says the famous line of Hulk Hogan, you better be careful of Eric Bischoff, who if he sticks it any further up your ass, he's gonna know what you had for breakfast. Because claiming Eric Bischoff to be a famous ass kisser and kind of wanting to be one of the boys, so to speak, and thus allowing Hogan to get away with whatever he wanted, which is a fairly accurate summation of the situation in WCW.
Yeah, he really spun that one.
No, and then he tries to claim that Hall and Nash are being held hostage. They definitely play up this idea of WCW being a prison. Triple H explicitly calls Xbox time in WCW indentured servitude. Not the only time I ever heard that kind of reference made to working for a different wrestling company. And Pac tries to claim that Hall and Nash would be back in WWF with them if Eric Bischoff wasn't holding them hostage in WCW, which is not true at all. They were very happy where they were in WCW because they got to work less. They had to work less shows and make more money than WWE would have, and they got more freedom to do whatever the fuck they wanted because Bischoff also never told Hall or Nash ever to. He never policed them either. So they had it made.
He's getting paid good money to trash the competition. Of course they're going to be a little bit loaded with their statements.
Yeah, it's not something I hold them deeply against. Just pointing out that it is all a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
And so they do that, and that's pretty much the whole segment. Is just kind of an introduction of X-Pac, and he airs his grievances about his former place of employment.
Which, like, God, there's so much to unpack here. Because I just, the glow up on 1, 2, 3 Kid to me is insane, right? Like, we start off with this sweet kid in like the early 90s he's just so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. What am I remembering correctly? Like when I talked about this last time, you're like, "Oh, you wait" or something like that, or am I crazy?
I probably made a reference because I knew that this episode was the episode where X-Pac debuts. I think
you said okay. I think you said
I was probably being cute about it, but I don't remember exactly.
Okay, but yeah, he's all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and here he just like freaking the way he moves. Okay, guys, like back when he was 1, 2, 3 Kid, he walked like a normal person. Now it's a combination of like flopping, exploding, and crotch chopping as walking.
So aggressively.
he just like explodes into the space. He's like jumping around and he's like crotch chopping, and he's just the way he moves is so like what the fuck.
And he's showing off his new finishing move, which is aggressively teabagging you to death.
Somebody.
The Bronco Buster, which I can't explain it any differently than he's aggressive than you're sitting in the corner and he teabags you really hard.
Look, I'm sure whatever drugs DX passes around to its members before every episode is like some good shit, but oh my god, dude, chill out on it a little bit, okay? Holy god. He just came in swinging, man. It was wild, and it was so bizarre, like seeing that in comparison to the sweet kid that I was like, this guy's so cute, I love him. And now he's just
the kid is gone.
God, he joined DX in the Attitude Era to be a giant douchebag because of course he did. God damn it.
All right, and that's just X-Pac. We have 2 more members to discuss.
God, yeah.
So to the main event. To be clear, they said on the show that I had referenced in the first half that the Chainsaw Charlie and Cactus Jack had won the tag titles, but they were stripped of the titles on the show because apparently there was a specific dumpster that you had to throw your opponents into to win the match.
God,
and they didn't. They threw them in a different dumpster, but the referee still called the match on the pay-per-view and wasn't like, hey guys, throw them in a different dumpster. And so the titles were stripped and they had a rematch with the New Age Outlaws as the main event of the show in a steel cage that went 5 minutes. And it all ended when DX showed up to bash Cactus Jack's brains in a little bit with a steel chair. It was uncomfortable. And New Age Outlaws won. They are the tag team champions yet again. And they are the newest members of DX.
Which, like, of course they are. Not a remote shock there.
No, they've been loosely aligned with DX for months.
See, honestly, I'm just disappointed in myself for not seeing it coming. Like, of course, that's how they were gonna like because they hint like a little bit before. Like, I think it was Lawler that was like, "I just got word during the last break that D-Generation X is gonna announce more new members tonight." And when we see New Age Outlaws pop up, I'm so disappointed in myself that I didn't realize then and there what was being set up for. But it was just so bizarre because, like, God, again, this match technically was connected to things. It had connections to previous match, and then it connected itself to the X storyline, but it still felt so the match itself.
It was so slowly paced, and I posited to David that maybe they had pacing issues with the fact that, they're all locked in a cage with each other, and all four of them have to be in the ring at the same time, so there's a spacing issue. But yeah, just the whole match doesn't feel like anything happens. Like they pretty much the only thing I think happens in 5 minutes is they handcuff Chainsaw Charlie to the cage, so he can't interfere and so that he can't be involved. They also rip his shirt off, very aggressive
for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Also, Chainsaw Charlie's not wearing pantyhose this time.
Yeah, they've kind of leaned away from that,
Honestly, I appreciate it.
Let him show off his normal crazy old man face.
Yeah, I appreciate it. The pantyhose were kind of dumb.
Yeah, they were.
But anyway, yeah, Cactus Jack just gets kind of like they both of them just kind of get served. What was I gonna say? Like you mentioned earlier, Mick Foley taking 3 chairs to the face this match?
That I can remember. He takes 3 shots to the head. No, he doesn't put his hands up to try to block that. He just takes it straight on at least 3 times that I can remember, which is so disgustingly unsafe. And it's like, Mick, why? Why would you do this?
I just want to point out, like, what a champ Mick Foley is again. Like, every time he shows up, I will never stop, like, Mick Foley appreciation posting. Just like, God, that man is so dedicated to his craft and kind of, and is somehow one of the most, like, level-headed motherfuckers out there when it comes to, like, people who are part of this profession.
I don't know how, because he keeps letting his brains get bashed in.
Look, he just has a really thick skull, okay? He's fine. He can take it.
I guess.
Yeah, Jesus. But yeah, it all just kind of turns into, another famous Vince Russo messy ending. With admittedly a pretty effective like final shot.
I think it works pretty well overall.
DX climbing the cage and of course chopping at their crotches into blackout. It does make for a pretty cage climbing is such a nice easy way to get like good visual points. Maybe I'm just a sucker for that visual, but it did kind of like for as like what the fuck is all of this was, it was kind of a like satisfying like image to end the episode on at the very least.
Yeah, I agree. And so now after some good discussion, let's just roll through the matches and just get them over with. There's not a whole lot to talk about, but I guess we should mention them because we've hit the big points.
All the rest are just kind of like, okay. So we have Legion of Doom versus Los Pariquas, which
goes 34 seconds.
It lasted less than a minute.
It is literally just there to be like, hey guys, LOD 2000 is a thing, which I guess is important in the sense that they re-debuted on pay-per-view at WrestleMania. So this is the first time that they've been on the free show, but at the same time, they're not going to be around long, to be honest. And it's to me, it's a whole lot of whatever.
I mean, because LOD is not a whole lot right now, and they have nothing the fuck to do with the Pariquas, so like, sure, why not?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot going on with that.
Yeah, and then we get to the part that David accidentally gave himself a spoiler for. Sorry, buddy.
I'm not going to mention it on.
We don't want to talk about it on tape. Okay. I'll act shocked when we get there. I'll do my best. Like,
I've been thinking for months how I'm going to talk about this when we get to it. So we are not doing this until I'm ready.
Okay, I'm so sorry. But yeah, we had Kurgan versus Chains.
Which is they're establishing Kurgan as like a monster heel I'm pretty sure I joked about this, that I was like, Kurgan is being built like a monster for Hulk Hogan to beat in 1987, except it's 1998 and Hogan isn't here and nobody cares.
That was about it. And Kurgan wins and drags Chains off by the face.
Now he uses the dreaded claw hold, where you just like palm your opponent, the other guy's face with your giant claw, and then just squeeze until they give up.
I will give him points for like a unique looking thing. Like most people don't go for the whole like crazy hands sort of vibe. I can kind of get down with that.
Yeah, and then he drags him face first.
Yeah, no. Well, again, not a whole lot to talk about. It just kind of happened.
Jeff Jarrett beat Aguila. That's just there to just continue to establish Jeff Jarrett with his new manager, a Confederate plantation owner who managed to still exist in 1998, Tennessee Lee.
Oh, Jesus.
Because it is what it is. Like Tennessee Lee and in WCW when he's playing Colonel Robert Parker is literally just doing like a parody of like what is a stereotypical like plantation owner in the South is like. What does that sound like? That's Tennessee Lee.
I'll say.
Yep.
Yeah,
and he's shacking up with Jarrett, who's coming to the ring on a literal horse, and he's got neon all over his gear.
Jarrett's got a weird propensity for like dressing really bizarre. Like he doesn't strike me as the type who should be dressing weird, yet he continues to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Like I
I agree.
There's just something about his vibe. It doesn't feel like the eccentric costume vibe, especially for the Attitude Era. Like of all the people to put in like all of those weird fucking colors, why are we doing Jeff Jarrett of all people?
Yeah, Jeff Jarrett feels like he's still in the new generation, and it's
and he's still doing the goddamn strut. Which I will say, there's something weirdly satisfying about the strut. This like the way he hunches over and it just like snap, snap, snap. I know. I wish our audience.
I do that in real life sometimes when I'm alone.
Why have I never seen
that? Because I'm doing it alone. No one is ever going to see me do the strut.
Lame. But yeah, it's just more. I mean, Jeff Jarrett's talented enough, but it's just getting tired. It's just getting really tiring for me to be like, "Yep, that's Jeff Jarrett. He's a pretty talented wrestler. Shame, nothing he does ever really seems to fucking matter."
Like we keep running into like Jeff Jarrett just kind of existing on these
incidentally. He feels so incidental, which is so bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know. So we talked about the Ken Shamrock and Steve Blackman beating the Nation,
and then we got Mark Marrow.
There's actually a lot to talk about here, but none of it has to do with the match.
Bad. This is all bad.
Yeah. Just a minute. You can explain what happened, and I'm gonna get my computer charger.
Oh, fun. Okay, so we have Mark Marrow having his weird like thing with his wife. They're currently not super fighting. Like Mark Marrow's not making her dress up in a fucking potato sack or anything to show up to the crowd and not be leered at. She's actually dressed in something provocative, and of course everyone's going wild for it. And of course Mark Marrow's being like, "Oh, they're all cheering for me and not my wife's cleavage." But he's there to fight Taka Michinoku. But then for some reason, oh god, I can't remember her name. Somebody shows up.
Luna Vashon,
thank you. Luna Vashon shows up, and I've never seen Luna Vashon in action before. Dear God, is she annoying? She's got this insanely like raspy voice, and she vibrates as she talks.
Luna Vashon!
I know.
Sable!
She vibrates as she talks, and like, oh, it's weird.
But she annoy you into booing her.
Yeah, she shows up. She shows up. And for some reason, challenges Sable to a rematch because they fought before, and it's like the first. This takes up more time, I think, than the actual like fight between Taka and Mark. I think, but regardless,
it has to because Luna takes the longest path to get to the point.
She does. She's just kind of going off, and then long story short is basically like, yeah, I want to do a ball gown fight with you, Sable. And she's of course being like, I'm gonna let the person left with the most amount of clothes wins, and of course Mark Marrow's like flipping his shit. He's like, God damn it, no, don't undress my wife more.
No, the conceit of an evening gown match, and I hate to tell you this, David, but they're gonna make several spin-offs of the same idea here of this type of match, but it is a late 90s into the 2000s classic where the goal of the match is that both women are going to be in an evening gown, and the winner of the match is the one who rips off her opponent's dress, leaving her in her underwear. That's how you win.
And the whole audience was like, oh no, I would hate that.
I know, like, it is like Luna tries to play this off as an embarrassment to Sable that she calls back to a prior incident of her ripping Sable's dress, and she tries to play this off of like Sable's gonna be left in her bra and panties in front of the whole world, and it's gonna be so embarrassing, as if I don't know that is absolutely not going to be embarrassing because the entire audience is going to cheer.
Yeah, well, and the entire point of Sable's character recently has been like, God damn it, my stupid, weird, jealous husband let me show my boobs on TV. So this feels like it's just kind of playing right into her hand. It'd be really great if this ended up being kind of like this like ultimate girl boss twist where they were actually like teaming up just to like dunk on Mark Marrow. That'd be a ton of fun.
That'd be fun.
It's a shame it probably won't go there. No, it's probably not
did.
remotely what's happening here. No.
And of course, Mark Marrow is. Yeah, you're right. He's like begging. He's yelling at his wife to not accept the challenge.
Okay, look, I know we've touched on before how one note Mark Marrow is. He got to be a little two note tonight by also just kind of being an oblivious egotist the whole time, on top of being like jealous of his wife. But he's also like really one noted as acting, like the entire time, like that Luna Vashon is proposing this, and the entire time that Sable's like, yeah, you're fucking on. He's just doing the exact same like begging pose over and over again. Like it's just the same like animation loop. 5-second animation loop repeated over the entirety of this promo. And I was like, dude, get a different move here. Jesus.
Yeah, I agree. And like it's honestly the worst part about Mark Marrow is that he's not that great of an actor, which is a bit of a shame considering in WCW he was doing a Little Richard impersonation, but he apparently wasn't good at acting. But whatever.
What a weird, like, Jesus Christ. People go to WCW and like come back with the weirdest shit. Like
we should probably at some point touch on like mid-90s WCW because
we really should.
When the show was run by like it was bounced around by like between Turner executives who don't know wrestling and don't care about it. And it shows in how absolutely bizarre it gets, but that not important right now.
Yeah, no, it's just so funny that like these are the kinds of people that like they pumped back into WWE. But anyway, but yeah, so that's a whole thing, and so Luna Vashon and Sable are gonna do a ball gown match, and somebody's gonna end up in their underwear. Oh no, everybody's so much dreading this. I mean, I actually am dreading this. God damn, I hate how like 90s and early aughts WWF treated its ladies. Oh
yeah,
God.
And they'll do this in so many other forms, like a bra and panties match. Same thing, but without the fancy dresses. Or
I want?
Or a pillow fight match, or a couple of mud wrestling matches.
You know what I want? I want a drag evening gown match. I want two dudes facing off in an evening gown match. Where's my I don't know who would be two great dudes to stuff into that. We should have given Cena and Punk an evening gown match. I would have died for that shit.
The sad thing is, there was once two dudes in an evening gown match. They did it. Future spoilers for the Vince McMahon character. He's going to acquire two stooges, Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe. When Vince McMahon runs out, when like the gaggle of people show up, they're usually there, and they're going to be featured as like the number 1 and number 2 yes men to Vince McMahon, who, as an excuse for guys like Steve Austin to beat them up if they can't beat up Stone Cold tonight, they can't beat up Vince, and they have an evening gown match with each other.
Austin, please tell me we're going to watch that at some point.
It is an evening gown match between two men in their mid to late 60s.
Yes! I need this in my life. I am legitimately, insanely, happily surprised that WWE actually did something like that. I was like, no way in hell they would ever go there. Oh my God, does that make me happy?
We might have to save that for a future time.
Yeah.
WWE also likes to do the Tuxedo Match, which is the guys' version of the bra and panties match, except it is played for a lot more of like humiliation when they get stripped down to their underwear.
Well,
of course it is. Of course it is.
Who likes seeing buff dudes in their underwear? Not our audience. No, that's not the whole fucking reason we run this show.
Oh no, the real wrestlers don't get to do that. They have more self-respect than that. They like have tuxedo matches between like announcers and managers.
Are you telling me Vince McMahon hasn't had the good sense to put what's effectively a male stripper routine on his show at some point? You know how much viewership that would pull in?
Potentially all the viewership, and also no, they have not. He has not. They have never done a tuxedo match with wrestlers who are like important.
God damn it! Oh no. Okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna send him a cheeky little letter and be like, "Hey, buddy, I got a business idea for you."
Anyway. Yes,
yeah, so getting back to the point. So that happens, and that's gonna happen at some point, and Mark Marrow is of course good and pissed about it. And then he goes to fight Taka Michinoku, and I'm all happy because hell yeah.
And then it's all like 3 moves.
I love me some Taka, and he just immediately starts clowning on Mark Marrow, and I'm like, hell yeah, go Taka. But then the tides get turned for some reason, and
Mark Marrow kicks Taka in the dick. And that is what leads him to being able to set up for the win.
Yeah,
he wins Taka, and that's it.
He gets an impossibly easy win on Taka Michinoku. Like, there's no way this guy should have been down by this. It just doesn't work.
Taka Michinoku is a champion. The light heavyweight champion. Gonna remind you of that, but nobody cares. So he loses in 90 seconds to Mark Marrow.
Yeah.
Who previously loses to guys like Tom Brady.
And the whole reason we have it like this is so that Sable can see how cruel the defeat of Taka was, so she can go over and comfort him, and Mark can be all jealous again. Thank you.
But then, after they leave, we get the debut of Kai and Tai.
Oh God!
They don't name them as Kai and Tai, but that's who they are. They are basically like a let's throw in all the Asian wrestlers. Let me go look. I'm going to look up who's in this group. They are a genuinely extremely talented group because, of course, they were. Because they were pulling from actual real life like wrestlers from Japan. Yeah, the wrestlers that they debuted tonight were Dick Togo, Men's Teo, and Shiryu.
I will say, for as cheesy as some of the stuff like this in the Attitude Era could get, for a hot second, I was kind of like, they did kind of catch me off guard, like because they enter from the crowd and they're like fucking climbing the gates. And I'm just kind of sitting there like, what the hell? Why is the audience like rioting here? What's going on? And then it was like 3 Asian dudes in like weird street clothes, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. But for a hot second, I was like, wait, why is the audience about to riot? What's going on?
Yeah. So yeah, they do that. They just kind of debut themselves by beating up Taka Michinoku. We don't know yet why they chose to do that.
I mean, please lead it to Taka having more interesting stuff to do than beefing with dumb fucks like Jerry Lawler's son and Mark Marrow. Please.
Yeah, I have to give you a sad warning. Well, I guess there is some interesting stuff down the line, sort of.
Okay.
But not. But for now, it's still, just beefing with Jerry Lawler's dipshit son.
I do have a quick question for you though. You had mentioned when Kai and Tai popped out of the audience, you had said something about they were the ones that arrested Austin. Was that you being facetious, or were they actually like double cast as the police officers this episode?
I was you asked, I was making a joke because the commentary was like, "Where's security?" And I was like, they arrested Austin, they're gone.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no,
they did their one job tonight. They can't stop anything else.
They did one security. That's their quota, so they got to go home.
They're out of here.
Yeah, one whole security. I also want to point out, like, I've been trying recently, like, as you've mentioned in some previous episodes about like the effectiveness of commentary and some of the stuff that goes on commentary. I've been trying to pay more attention to like.
Oh no, David, no. It's happening. Got David back. You were saying about commentary.
Yeah, okay. So I've been trying to. I mean, it wasn't that important a point or anything. I was saying though, like I've been trying to like pay more attention to commentary recently because you made some comments in recent episodes about like the effectiveness of commentary and some of the stuff they say on it. So I've been trying to like keep a bit more of an ear out for some of the stuff they say on it. But this I admittedly didn't get much from it, but oh boy, did I catch some really dumb Lawler lines.
No, well, I don't think JR was particularly profound, but Jerry Lawler is real stupid.
He had some comment about sex on TV. I think that was during the Mark Marrow thing.
Yeah, I got mad at that one because I guess we should explain the sex on TV thing because I remember what that was about. Is the debuting video of Val Venus.
God.
Yeah, Val Venus is a porn star. That's it. That's the joke. And they don't really play that joke.
But it's not really play it for a joke. Even though it reads like a joke. It reads so dumb over the top and not remotely seductive. But here we are. I guess Vince Russo is like just does not understand how like sex works. There's been a meme that's been going around recently. It's like a 4-panel square, and it's like up top there's like knows what sex is, doesn't know what sex is, and then on the vertical axis it's like fucks, doesn't fuck. And so that means like the top right corner is doesn't know what sex is, fucks. And I kind of don't like this meme because I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? I think Vince Russo has now finally helped me understand what this means because Vince Russo clearly does not know what sex is. But Vince Russo still fucks. It all makes sense now. Thank you, Vince, for helping me understand this meme.
Yes. The Val Venus skit is exactly what you probably think it is if I just said it out loud. It's he's laying in bed, presumably naked, watching his own porno and just being like, "Damn, I'm good." He really only had like one thing to say when he wasn't doing his actual lines. When he has to like just like ad lib talking about his porno, all he says is like, "Yeah, I'm good." But he's just doing a bunch of double entendres and talking about how he's coming soon and whatever. And
also of course his. Of course, his last name isn't spelled like the normal way you spell Venus. It's spelled like penis, but with a V. Because of course it is. Because of course it is.
hmm And so, you got Lawler on commentary with the joke of sex. There's nothing wrong with sex on TV until you fall off, because you get it. He's talking about sex on a television, not sex
on a TV.
fuck off.
Yeah, that was my shut up Lawler for the evening. So there's
Yeah.
your obligatory. Speaking of weird promos, we also had like this weird like no reason to have it whatsoever like promo with Kane and Paul Bearer.
Oh,
where
yes,
Paul Bearer
yes.
just kind of like monologues for 5 minutes about blood, blah blah blah.
Yeah, he just talks about, how losing to the Undertaker was not the end, and he challenges the Undertaker to an Inferno match where the goal of the match is to set the other guy on fire. That's where Undertaker versus Kane is going. Immolation.
That's that was the but like he said he spends 5 minutes talking about this. I'm like,
no,
okay,
it is objective. It is just there to just be a time filler because they're setting up they're
setting up the
cage. Like, yeah, this is in modern wrestling, what they do is they pre-build the cage and then hang it from the rafters of the arena.
Lower it down.
They lower the cage.
It's this great visual. It's always fun.
But back in the olden times, they had to physically build the cage panel by panel during the show, and so they send out Kane and Paul Bearer to time fill while they finish doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Paul Bearer's shtick, and early Kane is fun enough, I guess, even though he just kind of stands there. But like,
yeah, it's a whole lot of nothing.
He's probably reminiscing about his time as a dentist. Anyway,
the final match of the show that we haven't talked about, the Midnight Express, Bodacious Bart and Bombastic Bob versus the Headbangers. It's the NWA season, and a whole lot I don't care.
It's so dumb. Why are the Headbangers bald? Why are they wearing kilts? Who the fuck are these other dudes? I don't know, and I don't care, and the whole thing is dumb. I don't even... the wrestling was probably pretty good in it too, but God, how little I care about this superseded my enjoyment of the wrestling. I think that's the first time this has happened. I so aggressively do not give a shit about the NWA stuff that I'm not even like, I can't even register the wrestling as entertaining. I'm just like, what?
No kidding. Yeah, 100% agree. They introduced Dan Severn, who's a legitimate MMA badass. He has a stint in wrestling. We probably won't be seeing much more of him because he doesn't really do anything major. He kind of doesn't. He struggles because he's really good at wrestling. He's good at wrestling in that way that MMA to wrestling is a pretty good transition for a lot of guys. But he just does not have the charisma to make it work in wrestling that you don't necessarily need in MMA if you're just that good of a fighter.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, okay, there's another dude here, and he curb stomps at the end. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. That covers that.
Yeah, that's about it, ladies and gents.
Yeah, so that's our show. Is a lot happens, I think, overall.
Does it matter? Maybe.
I think the big 3 story beats are important. Anyway.
Yeah.
I call this I feel like this is quintessential Attitude Era in that The Rock, Stone Cold, and DX, along with Undertaker and Kane and Mick Foley, carried the Attitude Era, and everything else was just kind of whatever in between.
Yep, yeah, no, we're setting up for new stuff next time, I guess.
Yeah, we'll be back here soon enough for one more time in this little era of the Attitude Era before we kind of wrap up with that, I think, anyway. But what are we going to do next time? Yeah. We haven't had a guest spot on this. We haven't had like a special little one-off on this show in a long time, since the Brody tribute, and we haven't had a guest spot since Christmas. So what we're going to fix both of those next time as we're going to have one of our friends on to talk with us about the best wrestling wedding of all time not the Undertaker, Macho Man Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth, they get married, and then they have a whole wedding reception, and a bunch of stuff happens. And so that is going to be the focus of our next episode.
Oh God, I'm so excited. I've been waiting for this. Oh my God, yes.
Yes, I am. I'm excited as well. And David, hit the plugs.
Yes, sir. Alrighty. My friends, thank you for coming along with us on this most interesting and, maybe slightly lackluster ride. We're happy to have you with us. If this is your first time joining us, thank you ever so much for tuning into our podcast. If you would like to continue to tune in with us, there are a number of ways you can do so. Let me tell you how. First of all, we are on YouTube. You should subscribe to us, the Noobs and Knockouts podcast. It's just delightful. If you're more of a listening app sort of person, we are on Apple, we are on Spotify, and we are on Google. The best place to get podcasts. Please give us a listen, give us a follow. Give us some nice little engagement all over the place. Likes, dislikes, ratings, comments, what have you. Whatever you want to do to just tell the internet that these guys are all right. You can also find us on our socials. We are on Twitter at Noobs and Knox Pod. That's Noobs, letter N, Knox. Twitter's just weird about character limits. We also have an email. The Noobs and we have Noobs and Knockouts Pod at gmail.com. That's the word and this time Noobs and Knockouts Pod at gmail.com. Email the show. Tell us what you think. Give us some feedback. Give some recommendations or some suggestions or requests or whatever you want to do. Come say hi to us. We love that. We love talking to you people.
Yeah.
And finally, come check out our Patreon. $1 a month gets you early access to videos and a shout out at the end of every episode.
Of course, and on the Twitters is where you will find our announcements weekly of our new episodes. But also, I am trying out the live tweeting wrestling thing. Every Tuesday night on Impact Wrestling, I will be live tweeting. Every Wednesday night, AEW Dynamite, as well as whatever WWE or NXT pay-per-views I wish to watch. WrestleMania is coming up. That's the next big one. That's a whole thing. That's going to be 2 nights. That's April 10th and 11th. And obviously, I will say that if we have to tape an episode, I will not be live tweeting. That is what happened with WWE Fastlane. Sorry about that. We'll be keeping you up to date on Twitter if our taping schedule requires that I can't live tweet something. But other than that, come hang out with me as I watch some weekly wrestling. And see you guys next time.
Good stuff. Hasta luego.